Boom! What's up, guys? Friday, March 6th. We've got some
fake news
to destroy today. This video is brought to you by the world's most badass flashlight, the PATRIOT flashlight. It's basically like a Swiss Army knife. First off, it's solar powered, so you don't need to plug it in. It doubles as a USB charger, phone charger anywhere you go. It's got a compass, a rope cutter, it's got a siren, and it has this metal piece that can smash windows or smash skulls if you need to use it for some self-defense. You can grab yours at PatriotFlashlight.com and make sure you enter code Jordan20 so you get 20% off your order. Get lit. All right, we'll start off talking about the Washington Post and the New York Times because they're just bad. They're so god-awfully bad. And we'll start off with WaPo. So on Wednesday night, the Washington Post put out an article, and this article was about the craziness going on with the Democratic candidates for president. But anyway, within this article, and get this article was put out by the editorial board of the Washington Post. It was an op-ed put out by them. And within this article, they claimed that, quote, hundreds of millions of rank-and-file voters, end quote, turned out on Tuesday, earlier this week, to vote for Joe Biden. Hundreds of millions. Got a couple questions for you. Did you notice hundreds of millions of people turning out on Super Tuesday earlier this week to vote for Joe Biden? I didn't. Quite honestly, I've never even seen a Joe Biden bumper sticker or sign in my life, let alone know anybody that supports him or anybody that voted for him on Tuesday. So I don't know how the hell the Washington Post is getting hundreds of millions of people. We can even do some calculations to really rub it in here. Population of America, what, like 350 million people? Number of registered voters in America, what, like 170, 180 million people, if I'm getting that count right. So there's not even multiple hundreds of millions of registered voters in this country. And not just that, but on Super Tuesday, it was only a primary for like a handful of states. And I don't even think the total combined population in those handful of states reached into the hundreds of millions. So again, how in the heck is a supposed, quote, prestigious, quote, honest, quote, truthful media organization such as the Washington Post getting that hundreds of millions of voters turned out on Tuesday to vote for Joe Biden? I don't know, man. Must be that Common Core math they're teaching him these days. You can obviously see the establishment's throwing all their chips behind Biden right now. And it wasn't just WaPo with one of these, we'll call it a math gaffe, with a math gaffe here. Also, the New York Times is having some counting problems. And again, it was a member of the editorial board. What is with these editors? Can they just literally, like, not count? I don't know. But anyway, a member of the editorial board of the New York Times, Mara Gay is her name. She was on MSNBC last night with Brian Williams. And they were talking about a tweet. I want to read this tweet to you first. Then we'll talk about her reaction to it. This tweet said, Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. The U.S. population, 327 million. He could have given each American $1 million. That was the tweet. You might already be able to see the accounting error there. $500 million going to 327 million people does not add up to $100 million a person. It's like, $1.50. After reading this tweet, Mara went on to say, that's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It's true? Seriously. You know, just basic arithmetic must not be a prerequisite to faking the news these days, is it? No. So that's it on the media outlets. Now let's move on to some documentaries coming out that are just as fake as the New York Times and the Washington Post. In fact, they might even be featured in them. And this first one is about the first trailer for the HBO documentary on disinformation and fake news. Has been released. This documentary is coming out on March 19th. And as you could have guessed it, this is an HBO documentary. It's being featured in the mainstream media, such as the Daily Beast, and it's going to be a shit show. You can already see it from the trailer. I watched it. It's about 1.5 minutes long. Half of this frickin' trailer is trying to spin the story around Pizzagate. The other half of the trailer is just like shots of Alex Jones, of course. You know, like the whipping boy for the mainstream media. They try to use that crazy guy as the way to smear all truth tellers and all people questioning the narrative out there. You see how they do that with him? So, huge propaganda piece, huge psyop piece coming from HBO here. And it's 100% projection piece as well. You listen to everybody in that particular trailer, they're just pointing. They're pointing over there. No, it's the people on the internet. It's the conspiracy theorists. They're the ones spreading the disinformation and fake news, not us. And of all people, Will Sommer is one of the people in this documentary. Will Sommer. No, I've never seen him lie in an article. Pathetic. Next documentary that's pretty pathetic. This one's about Hillary Clinton, and it's coming out on Hulu. It's a 4-part documentary series that premieres today. I don't have a Hulu membership, but I might just get one for like a month just to see what kind of crap Hillary says in this piece here. Basically, they're probably just giving her a platform to, who knows what she's going to try to spin in this one. No doubt she's going to talk about the emails. Might even bring up Pizzagate and QAnon. Be interesting. Probably going to blame something on the Russians in this, like she always does. It's going to be bad. Very, very bad. Now, we've already heard about one thing that's going to be in this documentary, and it's pretty freaking hilarious. You might have seen this headline yesterday. So within this documentary, there's one part where I guess Bill Clinton opens up a little bit, and he actually said that the Monica Lewinsky affair was to, quote, manage his anxieties. Manage your anxieties. Huh, Bill? Is that what you said about those 26 trips that you took on the Lolita Express to Jeffrey Epstein's island? Well, was all of that to manage your anxieties too? Or how about those kilos of cocaine that went through Mena, Arkansas? Was all of that to manage your anxiety too? Yeah, man. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really, really bad, that Hillary Clinton doc, and that HBO one too. Terrible. So, moving on, we're going to talk about the coronavirus for a little bit now, and vaccines, and how they're trying to censor vaccines on the internet, all that nonsense. So, first up, Donald Trump's no trip, and then became a trip again to the CDC today. So, this was interesting to me. Donald Trump was on a trip today. First, he was going to visit Nashville to see what sort of tornado damage happened there. And then he was going to travel over to Atlanta to hit the headquarters for the CDC, right? It was reported this morning that the president canceled his trip to the CDC today, last minute. And the excuse that the president gave was because of fears of a positive test for the coronavirus at the CDC headquarters. Well, this was going around. Some people were trying to attack the president for it. Some people were confused. My reaction was like, what a boss. Because I wouldn't want to go to the freaking corrupt cesspool that's the CDC either. So I wasn't frankly surprised. And in fact, if you closely watch how the president goes about speaking about and talking to Big Pharma and the actions he does in terms of it, you can tell, or at least this is my opinion, I can tell that the president does not like Big Pharma. He does not. And he might sometimes act like he does for the cameras and the optics and all that, but I really don't think he likes Big Pharma. But anyway, last minute change to his plans. He decided to go ahead and go to the CDC headquarters anyway today. But I don't think he wanted to. I don't. And speaking of vaccines and this coronavirus, moving on to our next story, still on that topic, the first coronavirus vaccine trial in the U.S. is recruiting volunteers. That was quick. That was quick. So these trials are being held in the Pacific Northwest here in the Seattle area because, of course, that's where I guess the main part of the outbreak in America is happening. And the company, the biotechnology company that is developing this particular vaccine is Moderna. Okay? Moderna. Now, little bit of quick research I did into Moderna yesterday after seeing this news. Well, first of all, big surprise. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, among others, has been pumping Moderna full of a lot of money, like upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars even. Multiple tens, even 100 million plus of money for like a few years now for them to develop their new, they're calling it RNA vaccine. That's their fancy new vaccine they're trying to roll out to the public. Moderna has been making an mRNA vaccine. They've been trying to make one for like HIV and Zika and a whole bunch of other problems. I guess this is going to be like their freaking sales pitch for the public. Yeah, take the shot. It'll heal you of what ails you, right? That's how Big Pharma operates these days. And Moderna, okay? So President Trump met with the CEO of Moderna and some other pharmaceutical companies earlier this week to talk about the coronavirus and the vaccines and all that stuff. Now, in that digging I was doing on Moderna yesterday, check this. So the co-founder of Moderna, however you say his name, this guy, right? I was scrolling through his Twitter account, and this gentleman is like a venture capitalist. He's done a bunch of business stuff, especially in the pharma realm. Well, he's the co-founder of this, quote, humanitarian organization. You know, anytime you see the word humanitarian in terms of like an elitist's organization or foundation or whatever, humanitarian, right? You know what I mean? But anyway, he co-founded this humanitarian organization. It's called the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity, of all things, right? Awakening Humanity. But anyway, Moderna co-founder also co-founded this particular Aurora Prize. Guess who is on the committee for this Aurora Prize, the selection committee? Of all people, Samantha Power. Okay? The Moderna co-founder, Moderna, who's creating this coronavirus vaccine, he is apparently friends. I mean, I found pictures of them together, and the Moderna co-founder, like, tweeted about her a bunch. Friends with Samantha Power. If you don't know who Samantha Power is, she was huge in the Obama administration a few years ago. And she was the ambassador to the UN. She was basically the go-to. She was a part of the National Security Council as well. She was the go-to towards the end of the Obama administration there, just a few years ago, to unmask a bunch of names of Americans, basically abuse the FISA process. And I think we can guesstimate very well that Samantha Powers was also involved with the illegal FISA unmaskings and the illegal spying on President Trump's campaign, candidate Trump, and probably General Michael Flynn too, and you know, all that stuff. So, wow! Oh my gosh, like, how many degrees of separation do you really need to connect all these swamp folk? Not many. And I hope you know that, Mr. President. You met with Moderna CEO earlier this week. Did you know their co-founder has worked on projects with Samantha Power before, the woman who was like trying to spy on you with the Obama cabal? If you have your people watching this video, man, or on my Twitter feed or whatever the case, you might want to know this. You might want to know this, President Trump. So there's weird stuff. When I saw that, I was like, no way. Samantha Power and Moderna, see, like co-founder, what the heck? This is weird stuff. And it's all open source too. Like, I don't feel bad. They leave their Twitter accounts public. What are you going to do? course I'm going to scroll through them and see what these people are like. And they're really anti-Trumpers too. People in the pharma industry, all the CEOs and co-founders' Twitter feeds that I've scrolled, they're very anti-Trump. So it's be aware of that, POTUS. Watch out. Next up, social media companies partnering with health authorities to combat misinformation on the coronavirus. Whew, big surprise there. The World Health Organization. I just can't. I can't. When I see any article or any person, I've seen a lot of people in the, quote, alternative media even do this lately. They're trying to source the World Health Organization for credible health information. And credible should not be in the same sentence as World Health Organization. But anyway, they are literally partnering with TikTok. You're familiar with that app? A lot of young kids use it these days. I tried. It's not for me. Can't stand it. But a lot of that, I guess we call him Gen Z, is on TikTok. They're partnering with the World Health Organization to spread, quote, veritable information on the novel coronavirus, aka the disinformation, the fake news, the brainwashing is going right there into our youth. So, I mean, TikTok, of course they're going to partner with different authorities to push information on their platform. They're trying to hit that young generation because they're becoming the largest generation and the most impressionable generation. And because they have this internet in their hands and the way that Real Awakening is spreading, they're just desperate. They're desperate to maintain that narrative, so they have to hit the young ones. And that's why they're going for TikTok. And how ironic is it that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company? And I guess this Chinese company is desperate to get out a lot of that fake information, the misinformation on what's happening with that disease there in China. I don't know. You see all the shadiness, the questions that are coming up there. So it's like every platform now. YouTube has their cards under the videos that they put that link to Wikipedia for their trusted sources. Twitter just announced they're going to start putting like red and orange on tweets that they deem misinformation, these colorful badges. And we got Facebook that have their fact checkers, and they sanitize posts that they fact check that are wrong. It's all of them. They're all trying to do it. Desperation, man. And another thing, that they're trying to bring forth with misinformation and fake news. A lot of fake news in this video. Newsweek reporting here about a hashtag called Doctors Speak Up. So the hashtag Doctors Speak Up was a hashtag that was started by pro-vaccine big pharma shill doctors, basically. These shill doctors tried starting this hashtag and putting out what they called information to combat vaccine misinformation. They started this movement to speak out against anti-vaxxers who they claim share misinformation online, right? So it's a propaganda hashtag, essentially. What happened was that when you poke the bear that is the awakened public, they'll snap at you. And the anti-vaxxers took over this hashtag. We are the news now, folks. They totally took it over. Thousands upon thousands of posts for hashtag Doctors Speak Up started coming from anti-vaxxers and doctors and medical professionals who were, outside of that mind-controlled establishment thinking. They started speaking up. Totally took it over. Hijacked the hashtag. You can't win. You can't win. You tech companies, you media companies, you dirty politicians, you crooked CEOs. None of you can win. Sorry. As hard as you try, it's just not going to happen. Now moving on into a couple of last things here. Big news stories too. Don't click out now. So a new study by the Inspector General, DOJ, Department of Justice Inspector General, found that the FBI dropped investigations into the terrorists behind a ton of shootings. 6 different shootings, actually. And these are the 6 right here. You can see it was the Fort Hood shooting, the 2016 Pulse nightclub shooting, 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, and a few other ones as well. So, anybody going to say false flags? I'll say it. I say a lot of stuff that other people don't want to say. False flags? The FBI dropped their investigation into these obvious false flag shootings and bombings and whatnot. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy. And what's even crazier is the fact that our own government put out the report on it. The Department of Justice Inspector General, that's Horowitz, in Horowitz's office. Goes to show you, there are good people in government that are really trying to root out the bad information and the bad actors and all that stuff. And the Inspector General report finding the FBI dropped the investigations onto the terrorists behind, all those attacks. So that's all the Inspector General is really doing, is just saying what happened. That's all the Inspector Generals basically do. They don't really investigate deeper into, say, criminal matters or whatnot, but they just put out their reports of what they say happened. And this opens up a lot of huge questions. Why did the FBI drop the investigations? Who made that happen? Where did that pressure come from? What other three-letter agencies, clowns, may have been involved in all of that? Inspector General doesn't get into that, of course. But those questions are now out into the public domain and spurred by the Inspector General. Crazy stuff. And then last thing I want to get into is a judge demanding the unredacted Mueller report. So this is a judge, before you jump and get all excited here, this is a judge out of Washington State. And this particular judge is saying that he wants the unredacted Mueller report because he's questioning Attorney General Barr's credibility. This guy's kind of smearing Attorney General Barr with this. Granted, I would love to see that unredacted Mueller report, but saying, attacking Barr with it, I don't know. I don't know this particular judge's angle, but eyes on. This judge said the Department of Justice has until March 30th to get this unredacted Mueller report out into the public domain. So we'll see if that happens. Eyes on that one. So anyway, that's it for this one, guys. That is all. We went through the bullshit coming from the Washington Post and the New York Times. We went through the interesting documentaries that are about to come out. I'm going to give them a watch. And heck, it'd be funny if I did a movie review or something here with them, right? And then there you go. Bunch of interesting stuff on the coronavirus, on the people involved. It doesn't take that much effort, really. I mean, 15 minutes, maybe some scrolling, clicking through a few tabs to trace some threads of information. There is so much stuff that's open source, you would be shocked. And you can find an incredible amount of information and connections out on the Twitter accounts of like these CEOs and all that, and these deep state swamp folk on the Twitter accounts and the Instagrams and all that. They're not that smart. They are not that smart, truly. So there you go. Just do your own research and you can come to all sorts of incredible conclusions that they won't tell you in the fake news media. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Find me on Patreon, support my work there. Thank you for doing that. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all sorts of articles and news stories and dank memes and shit posting of mine on there. And then check out my Conscious Strength brand. Links for all that will be below. Take care, everybody. See you this weekend.